Let me tell you something most beginners don't realize. The hardest part of investing isn't money, it's your mind. You can agree that investing early is smart. You can even have hundreds of dollars sitting right there in your account, and yet you still don't invest it. You tell yourself, I'll do it later, or I need to learn more, or it's probably not worth it anyway. That's not laziness, that's not stupidity. That's your brain quietly stopping you. And once you understand why it does that, everything changes. Most people think the reason they haven't invested their first $100 is because they don't know enough. But that's almost never the real reason. The real reason is psychological. Your brain is wired to protect you from loss, not to help you build wealth. And investing, especially your very first investment, feels like danger to a brain that evolved thousands of years ago. Let me explain this in the simplest way possible. Your brain has one main job: keep you alive. Not make you rich, not make you successful, just keep you safe. And when it sees money leaving your bank account and going into something uncertain, it interprets that as a threat. Even if the logic makes sense, emotionally, your brain hears, we might lose this. And the moment your brain detects potential loss, it triggers fear. This fear doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel like panic. It feels quiet and reasonable. It sounds like, let me wait a bit longer, or I should research more, or what if the market crashes right after I invest? That's not you being careful. That's your survival system hitting the brakes. Here's where biology comes in. When your brain senses risk, it activates the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear and threat detection. At the same time, it reduces activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for long-term planning and rational thinking. In simple terms, fear turns down logic. That's why you can understand investing intellectually and still avoid doing it emotionally. Now add another layer: loss aversion. Psychologists have found that humans feel the pain of losing money about twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining the same amount. Losing $100 hurts more than gaining $100 feels good. So when you think about investing your first 100, your brain isn't imagining future growth. It's imagining regret. It's imagining you checking your account and seeing less than you started with, even temporarily, and your brain hates that feeling. That's why your first investment is the hardest one you'll ever make. Not because it's financially risky, but because it's psychologically uncomfortable. Once you invest once, your brain adopts. But before that first step, everything feels heavier than it actually is. There's another invisible force at play here: identity. Deep down, many people don't see themselves as investors. They see investors as smarter, richer, or more confident people. So when you're about to invest, your brain whispers, this isn't who we are. And any time an action threatens your identity, your brain resists it. You're not afraid of losing money. You're afraid of stepping into a role you're not sure you belong in. And here's the cruel irony. The longer you wait, the stronger this resistance becomes. Because now you're not just avoiding investing, you're protecting a story about yourself. The story that says, I'm not ready yet. And every day you don't act, that story gets reinforced. This is why advice like just start rarely works. It ignores the emotional walls standing in the way. To break through, you don't need more information. You need to change how your brain perceives the risk. So let's talk about how to do that. The first breakthrough is reframing what the first $100 actually means. Right now, your brain sees it as money you could lose. Instead, you need to see it as tuition. The first $100 isn't there to make you rich. It's there to teach your brain that investing is survivable, that nothing bad happens when you start. Once your brain learns that lesson, the fear drops dramatically. Think about how people learn to swim. No one throws themselves into the deep end on day one. They start in shallow water. They let their body learn that it's safe. Investing works the same way. The first $100 is shallow water.
The second breakthrough is lowering the emotional stakes. One of the biggest mistakes beginners make is attaching expectations to their first investment. They think, what if I pick the wrong thing? But the goal of your first investment is not performance, it's participation. You're not trying to win, you're trying to show up. This is why simple, boring investments work best at the beginning. not because they're exciting, but because they're emotionally stable. Broad index funds, fractional shares, things that don't demand your attention every hour. The less emotional noise your investment creates, the easier it is for your brain to stay calm. The third breakthrough is separating action from outcome. Right now, your brain links investing with results. Green numbers mean success, red numbers mean failure. That's a dangerous mindset. Instead, success should be defined as taking the action itself. If you invest $100 and the market goes down the next day, you didn't fail. You succeeded. You did the hardest part.
You acted. This mental shift is powerful because once your brain learns that action does not equal danger, it stops blocking you. And once it stops blocking you, consistency becomes possible. Here's another practical trick that works surprisingly well. Automate future investments after your first one, even small amounts. Automation removes the emotional decision point. When you don't have to decide every time, your brain doesn't get the chance to panic. This is why so many successful investors swear by automatic contributions, not because it's smarter, but because it bypasses fear. Now, let's address the question many people are afraid to ask out loud. What if I invest my first $100 and lose it? Here's the honest answer. You might, temporarily, and that's okay. Because the real loss is not losing $100. The real loss is training your brain to avoid investing forever. If you avoid investing for 10 years because you were scared of losing $100, the opportunity cost is massive. Not just financially, but psychologically. You stay stuck in hesitation.
And hesitation is far more expensive than small losses. Once you invest your first $100, something subtle but powerful happens. You stop seeing investing as theory and start seeing it as something you do. Your identity shifts. You're no longer someone who wants to invest someday. You're an investor who started. And that's the moment everything opens up. Because from that point forward, you're learning by doing, not by overthinking. So if you're sitting there right now with $100 and a voice in your head telling you to wait, understand this. That voice is not protecting your future. It's protecting your comfort. And comfort is exactly what keeps people stuck financially. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing to feel slightly uncomfortable once. That's it. That single decision is often the difference between people who build wealth slowly and people who never start at all. If this video helped you understand what's been holding you back, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now you just know how to work with it instead of fighting it. And if you want more videos that break down money, investing, and wealth from the psychological side, not the fake guru side, make sure you subscribe. Because once you master the mental game, the financial game gets a lot easier.